Hello, welcome to Gospel Share Missions, the Four Fields Discipleship Multiplication Training. This is lesson number 1, our training outline: big vision, clear path, simple tools. We train within these parameters. As you can see there, our outline is titled Characteristics of Church Multiplication Movements, and we talk about 3 characteristics of a church that moves towards growth and multiplication. When you train others, tell them that a church that grows and multiplies has a big vision, God-size vision. It also has a clear path to follow, and it also has simple tools. So when you train others, ask your participants to write the lesson on a piece of paper or on page 3 of the notes and drawings document. Tell your participants to write down number 1, big vision. God has a big vision, and the church that grows and multiplies has that same big vision. This big vision, first of all, it is global. Write down the word global, and on the right side, Genesis to Revelation. Here we will see that throughout the Bible, God has a global vision. He wants to reach all nations. This big vision, it is also local. Write down the word local, and on the right side, brutal facts. Here we will see that God wants to reach out our local communities, and here we will work with some population numbers. And this big vision, it is also personal. Write down the word personal, and on the right side, relational map. Here we will see that God also wants to reach out people close to us but far from Him. So the first characteristic of a church that moves to growth and multiplication has a big vision: global, local, and personal. Now the second characteristic of a church that moves to growth and multiplication is a clear path. Tell them to write down number 2, clear path. They don't walk in a maze, without direction and without vision, but they walk on a clear path. Draw this square with the drawings in it. Here we call the clear path the Four Fields Discipleship. Why? Because first we have the seed, and what we need is to identify an empty field. Write number 1, empty field. Once we identify an empty field, then we sow the seed. Write down number 2, seeded field. In spiritual terms, this is the gospel. In due time the seed germinates, little plant is born and ready to grow. Write down number 3, growing field. In spiritual terms, this is discipleship. Then comes the harvest time. Write down number 4, harvest field. In spiritual terms, this is the church gathered in a healthy way. So we have 4 fields: the empty field, seeded field, growing field, and harvest field. In the center of the 4 fields we have the leadership that is what makes this process work. Write down leadership. Later in lesson number 4 we are going to go into detail regarding this process. So the second characteristic of a church moving to growth and multiplication is a clear path to follow. Now, the third characteristic of a church that grows and multiplies is that it has simple tools. Write down number 3, simple tools. These are the 12 tools. You don't have to write them down now. Tell your participants that later, they will be trained in each one of them. Summarizing, all of our training is based in these 3 characteristics: big vision, clear path, and simple tools. When you train others, train within these parameters in order to be simple, biblical, and reproducible. After you train this lesson to others, spend some time with them practicing. Guide your participants to describe their drawing to the group, or describe it to the person next to each other. God bless you as you get trained to train others.